which is we're very tired for hello. Welcome to Doctor Who Review, because I think that's the name of this. I'm sure it's a name that a million people have had. For Series 3, 1965 to 1966. I'm Chris. Ooh, Biscuits. And you are?
Does that mean I'm going to be Mrs. Biscuits?
Yes.
Ah,
Mrs. Biscuit.
I'm Mrs. Biscuit.
And I'm Mr. Biscuit.
Oh.
And today, you'll probably noticed, if you watch the last two videos, this pile is phenomenally short. So for those who are watching this one first, alright, fair enough.
Hello.
We had a couple. Hello. And we've been marathoning various things over the last couple of years. And in recent months, Lucy made the bold choice to marathon Doctor Who. And I went to reach for my 2005 box set, and she went, no, from the beginning.
No.
And we're here today to find out if she's regretting it or not yet. But first, for those who are like, also, why can't we see you properly? The idea is this is audio, it's a discussion, but we thought for the YouTubes, it's kind of nice to have something a bit visual, so, you know. If you want to know what Lou's background in terms of being a fan of Who is, go watch the last couple of episodes.
Good, because I thought you were going to ask me then, and I was not prepared at all.
Fair enough. If you want to know mine, go listen to 90s 10 or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so Series 3 presents the first really big obstacle in this marathon, because we have strictly decided to only watch what's available on the 2 Entertain DVD releases, and nothing more than that. Because we both work and live and do things, and we don't have the time to both like read the Target books that fill in the gaps or seek out all the reconstructions.
Will do eventually. I mean, what time is it now? It's
quite late.
10 past 10, and we've already had a full day of
many things.
Shenanigans. I'm really sorry, I've got a really itchy toe.
Oh, go for it. Treat yourself. It's YouTube after all. So,
sorry.
But Series 3 of Doctor Who, a quick recap of your feelings for Series 1 and 2. You're a big fan of Ian and Barbara.
Absolutely love him.
You were fine with Susan, but you weren't overly attached.
Yeah.
You really liked Vicky.
I loved Vicky. She was feisty.
She was a really old good one, wasn't she, in a way?
This is what it's going to be like the rest of it, guys. I'm really sorry.
It really is. I'm sorry about
I'm going to have a biscuit.
And you were warmed to Stephen, weren't you? You weren't like, yay, Stephen. We were like, yeah, he's alright.
No, I found him quite aggressive, really.
How dare you?
Like, vocally aggressive.
Peter Purvis is a national treasure.
Of course he is. No, he's fabulous, don't get me wrong.
You don't know who that is. Is that even the name of the man who plays Stephen?
Could be, might not be, but it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The Peter presenter.
Was he really?
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Was he there when the elephant pooped on the ground?
Probably. It's the only thing people remember. We weren't even born and we remember it. I worked down the corridor from them, and that's all people ever say when they're like, oh, have you had an elephant in? Like, it's like, no, it's now on the second floor.
Were you there when the elephant
studio.
pooped on the ground?
Honey, it was like the 70s.
Wait, so you weren't there?
No. How old do you think we went to school
really
together?
Oh, I'm questioning
creepy.
Everything.
Anyway, speaking of creepy, I don't have a segue.
What was the question?
You were bored of the Daleks a bit.
Oh no, I liked Stephen. Yeah, that was the point. Yeah,
you were bored of the Daleks a bit.
A little bit.
Because Terry Nation's scripts are not the greatest.
No.
I promise, you will absolutely fall in love with them again by the time of the 3rd, 4th Doctor.
I better, or else.
Because after that, you get 2 3rd Doctor stories with them. I think it's only 2. Might be wrong. 2 4th Doctor stories with them, and then 1 for the subsequent 3 Doctors. So the Daleks become a treat. It's like, oh, it's a Dalek story. Do you know what I mean? Whereas at this point, they're being used a lot.
Like a biscuit.
In fact, Dalek Mania was a big thing in the 60s, which we will touch on in the next video.
Was there actually a period that was called Dalek Mania?
Yeah, it was referred to as Dalek Mania.
Wow.
It's like Beatlemania. Now, to begin, I'm going to have to be checking my notes because unlike the last time when we did Series 1 review, we'd watched it all within about a week and a half or 2 weeks. And then we sat down and talked about it. With Series 2, we watched it in about 2 weeks and we sat down and talked about it. With Series 3, we've been a lot busier, so this has been scattered. The Series 2 video you guys watched whenever it came out was recorded at least 3 or 4 weeks before we put it online. Same with this one. You're probably going to be seeing this about a month after we record it. Hello, the future! But that being said, this one took longer to put together. And we're going away for something kind of important, the wedding, honeymoon. So you'll be seeing another mini video between series 3 and 4, probably while we're away, maybe just as we've gotten back, that is going to cover something else from the 60s, Doctor Who related. I wonder what it could be, Cushing movies. So let's see.
Even I didn't know that.
Yeah, you did.
At this moment, I
Yeah, you
didn't realise
did.
what it was. I just didn't
Yeah,
realise.
you did. We've already talked about it.
It's very late. I mean, what time is it? This past my bedtime.
Time to talk about Galaxy 4. Now, Galaxy 4 is an incomplete serial. Start series 3.
I hate incomplete serials.
None of it's on Lost in Time, but for visual references, you're talking about serials. For visual reference, I'm going to put the Lost in Time box set there. We, however, watched a version of it that is available on the Aztec Special Edition Special Features. Galaxy 4 only exists in soundtrack and stills, apart from episode 3. So what we saw was like an hour-long version of it. Do you remember?
Did we watch this? I don't recall
Galaxy
it.
4, we watched an hour-long version, and like 35 minutes into it, it's suddenly a full episode. And then telestills after that to finish it off. Galaxy 4 is the one with the Chumblies. Do you remember them?
Oh, yeah.
The little trundling robots.
Oh, yeah. I like the Chumblies. And the word Chumbly is just so chumbly.
It is a lovely word, isn't it? Chumbly. And who came up with the
Chumbly.
word? Vicky bloody came up with the word, because she's great.
Because Vicky is... Oh, what
So,
a chumbly.
the what's a chumbly? So this was the
Oh,
story.
yeah.
This was the story where they get to the planet, and it's kind of similar to the Web Planet in that it's this whole thing of, oh, we're in charge here. No, we're in charge here. And you don't know which side is the good side at first. This is the one with the Dravins.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of female-dominated species who are militaristic
Dunk.
and also weirdly inept. Like that's what that was one thing. This is the first time I'd watched Galaxy 4, and one thing I found really kind of almost embarrassing, and this isn't a product of time. This is just a product of the storytelling. Is they're basically saying like, imagine if like the Amazons, like if this was Wonder Woman and the Amazonians, or the Themyscirans, were like the dominant species of an entire planet, and they're in charge and they get shit done.
How awful!
But that's like a cool idea. It's like, okay, brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and especially again when you look at it from the point of view of the 60s, there was still obviously kind of, as there is today, but obviously more so than the thing of like, oh, the male-dominated household, the male-dominated workforce, things like that. So this is an interesting turn to kind of make a point. But several of the characters in this, the Dravins, are a bit inept. And a bit shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh. And I don't think the story's playing it up to be like, women, but it almost sort of accidentally comes across like that. After episode 1 is set up to be, these girls know what they're doing. And then it's like, some of these girls know what they're doing. And it's like, okay. I mean, to be fair, yes, like a male-dominated society would also have idiots and
they're just
people who
made
aren't
to
as good
be...
at their job, but it's weird to sort of make that point and then make them fumble so much.
They're just made to be soldiers, just pawns in a elaborate game of chess.
Not what turns out to be a rather nasty sort of...
Yeah. What a crazy lady.
Because the good guys in this one, which is a nice twist for a 60s kids show, are the big scary monsters.
Yeah, I like that.
That are behind glass and you can't see them. Their atmosphere is different. You can't be allowed to see them. They're frightened to be seen. They don't want to intimidate anyone who might be an ally. And that's why the Chumblies do all their work, the little robots.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to get like Chumbly tattooed on my arm or something. Just
all
so
right.
I can look at it and cheer
There
myself
are people
up.
who really love the Chumblies.
Chumbly, it's like a mix between BB-8 and a tiny Dalek. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Stephen's come around to the idea of the travelling in time and space thing by this point.
He's
after the Time Meddler.
He shouts a lot. Who's in this one? Vicky?
Vicky and Stephen. And there's a genuinely tense bit where he gets trapped between the two doors. And they're like, well, if you go out there, the atmosphere's going to kill you. So come back in here. But if you come back in here, of course, we're going to imprison you, beat you up, experiment on you, whatever. So make your decision. But you've not got a lot of time, and she switches the oxygen off in the airlock that he's in as it slowly goes down. Like that was cool. I like that. But ultimately, I think because of the way we had to watch the story, which is like it doesn't exist really, it's not like a big memorable one. I think let's double check the actor's name. There's a Stephanie Bidmead. I think Margot was the one who's in charge, wasn't she? She was great. She was a proper boo-hiss
Yeah,
villain.
she was. Yeah, yeah.
The problem is when you get to action scenes with the Chumbleys.
Oh, Chumbly.
It's not so much an action scene, really, is it? They're just
Isn't
sort of
Chumbly a cute word?
Yeah.
Have I put that across?
You might have done.
Yeah, all right, good.
And then there's the twist, obviously, that like the whole war side of it all is based on a lie.
Yeah.
It's based on one of their. I mean, we won't explain that because if you do want to watch the Galaxy 4 Recon,
Spoilers.
it is a cool like change of events in the story that makes you go, oh, even if it is a little phoned in just before. But Galaxy 4.
Oh, I just did a river song.
You did, yeah.
Dear, I do apologise.
I'm appalled. So as it is,
appalling.
Galaxy 4. Yeah,
It was alright. I've got to admit, this series I feel extremely disjointed just because there's so many. Sorry, the cat's snoring.
Yeah.
There's so many. Hey, look at this person. Oh,
yeah.
look at this.
Because
Oh
of
my
how
God.
many of the episodes and stories are missing, we just couldn't really dive in
Yeah.
as much as we would have liked.
Hey, this
But
episode.
the
this
later
episode,
part
oh,
of the
I don't know.
series is mostly whole and contains 3 very enjoyable stories, but we'll get to them as they happen. Mission to the Unknown was the next one, which again we couldn't watch because it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one I would have loved to have seen. That was the one episode where none of the main characters
Mhm.
feature, and it's the astronaut tangling with the Daleks and the deadly jungles and stuff and all the radiation and all that shite.
Excuse me.
And it's essentially, I thought this was very cool, like because I've known about this one for a few years. When I first heard about this, I was like, that sounds awesome. It's a prequel. It's a prequel to a bigger story that's coming up. Just a 20-minute thing, and that's it.
I can't wrap my head around it. I'm disappointed that it's not there because I will never understand it.
It's the 60s Dr. Light episode.
It's weird.
Like you know, in the Tennant era, there was always a Dr. Light episode where like he wasn't in it or he wasn't in it much. Like Bad Wolf. Not Bad Wolf, I'm talking about. Series 4.
Blink.
No, Turn Left. Turn Left, Blink in Series 3. Love and Monsters in Series 2. Like there was always that sort of Dr. Light episode.
There's always one, isn't there?
Hey, I like Love and Monsters.
Oh, good old Peter
It's
Kay.
not Great Who, but it's fun television.
Oh, I love Peter Kay.
It's fun television.
What English person doesn't love Peter Kay?
Most of them say they don't, but I think
That's
they're
just a
they're the
damn
same
lie.
people who say they hate Coldplay and yet will still sing along to some Coldplay songs.
They ever see Phoenix Nights?
Probably.
Well,
I don't
if
know.
they didn't, they should. because
People who
it's
say they hate
comedy
Peter Kay
gold.
don't hate Peter Kay. They hate people quoting the Peter Kay stand-up specials.
yeah.
That's what they hate. You were one of them,
I was. Do you
You
know
were one
what?
of
I
them.
was,
and
and
now
then
you've fallen down the Peter Kay hole.
and then our friend convinced me to watch. Did I say our friend or their friend?
Your friend. You said our friend.
Our friend. Okay, yeah, great.
And theirs.
I'm so tired, guys. Convinced us to watch Phoenix Nights, and I was like,
Oh, it was either of us, yeah.
God, Jesus.
Tash basically was like, watch it.
Yeah, she was. And then it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Right, so, Mission to the
Doctor
Unknown.
Who, yes, shit.
We
Sorry.
can't really talk about, because we didn't see it, but we would have loved to have seen it, because it's a
Mhm.
cool idea, and the idea of setting up that big epic, and also probably would have made what survives of that big epic a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a moment. Now, up next is The Mythmakers, which we didn't see because none of it exists on
Oh,
tape.
it's so sad. Right. Is
Now,
this
this is the Troy. This is
exactly.
the story of Troy
would
and the
have been
Trojan Horse.
so amazing. I love historicals. They're so good.
And you get a nice chunk of them in this series, but we don't get to witness them. That's the problem.
And you meet
There's
a
one
mini-
we get to spend time in.
You meet a mini companion, don't you?
Oh,
In Troy.
and Troy.
Well,
Well,
you would have.
Katerina,
Yeah.
who joins the story and then tags along for the next bit of the next one.
It's not
briefly.
technically a companion. Or is that
Katerina,
just
I
a-
believe, is listed as a companion because she travels
Passenger.
between 2 stories.
Right.
But like Sarah, who's in the next story, is also listed as a companion sometimes because she's
See,
technically
a
in
bit
several
of it.
episodes.
Right.
But whatever. I think some companions are sort of in that role loosely. Like, for example, Adelaide Brooke in Waters of Mars, Lindsay Duncan's character, is listed as a companion, but she's in that.
Really?
But she's in that one story. Now, if your definition of companion is like who is with the Doctor in that story, who is their ally or the person they meet and spend time with,
Associate.
yeah, like then yeah, sure, like she's a companion, whatever. Like Lady Christina and characters like that who are just in one story and then gone. Like you could count them as companion if you want. But I sort of think of it more as the people who travel with him.
Travel with him, yeah.
So that
definitely.
being said, Katerina and Sarah do kind of count because they travel in the TARDIS.
Once.
Yeah. But so did Adam. Adam travelled in the TARDIS once and then
Not
screwed up big time,
convinced.
and that was a big point of his story. Like you
Yeah,
count
God,
Adam,
yeah.
you count Adam as a companion, wouldn't you?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I do not, sir.
We'll talk more about that in 30 odd videos time.
A long time away.
But yeah, I would love to have seen this Troy and a Cyclops.
There's a bloody Cyclops and we missed it.
I don't know if it's an actual Cyclops, but there is
a
a
real
Cyclops
Cyclops was
there
in
is
it.
a Cyclops in it.
Oh, we'll never
but most
see him again.
importantly, this is saying goodbye to a character you like.
I know.
And we don't get to see it.
I'd never got to say goodbye.
So Vicky stays behind in the story.
Why?
Because, you ready for this? Drums, please. She
Why?
falls in love.
Oh, typical.
So the previous teenage companion
How old was she?
role
12?
filler stays behind because she's in love.
Joking.
And of course she's not 12. and then Maureen O'Brien in this one is written out of the show because she falls in love. It's just like,
lovely.
okay.
She's given up technology and all that.
Oh, yeah, 'cause she was in the future, wasn't she? Vicky's from a
Yeah,
further
exactly.
future than ours and knows more.
She
and...
knows the future and she's going to be like, oh, I know everything that's going to happen.
To
My
be fair,
life
though,
is pointless.
To be fair, she thought that the Beatles were ancient history, so, like, I think Troy she probably knows nothing about, to be fair.
That's ridiculous.
But that would have been a fun one. And
silly Vicky.
So, now that's the end of Vicky's run. Since we can't really talk about the Mythmakers, what are your thoughts on Vicky?
I loved Vicky. She was so sassy and so, but she was very what word did I use before?
Sassy.
No,
Just
well,
now.
she was nice. Thanks. She was confident. She was strong. She was intelligent. She didn't shy away from like not a fight, but confrontation and.
She's a very positive character.
She
as
was,
well.
and she was funny, and she was adorable, and the Doctor really liked her.
Not
and
just
I'm
the
gonna
Doctor,
miss
though.
that.
You pointed this out before. What you noticed was her and Hartnell's chemistry.
Yeah.
Right, you can really see
I'm falling off the sofa.
that you can
Sorry.
really see that those two are having fun working
Yeah,
together.
definitely.
And by the time of what we saw of like Galaxy 4 and the end of the Time Medley, you can see that she and Maureen and Peter and William are getting on really well, and there's a nice dynamic going on there.
You can see it. You can see it.
You can see him settling into a family again, a routine, and then it goes.
He was really annoyed as well, wasn't he?
He
didn't
was
like
very
change.
difficult to work with, apparently, and a lot of it was to do with change. And some of it's understandable why he was being cantankerous about it. Some of it was just him being a difficult older man. You're right there, trying to get Matt Smith's head
I
in the
was.
video.
That wasn't very subtle, was it? All right, boss. I'm gonna have a drink of tea now. This is the first cup of tea of my day. And what time is it? I should be in bed. 25 past 10.
I'll tell you what time it is. Time for the Daleks Master Plan.
Ooh, segue.
Episodes, let's double check, 2, 5 and 10. 2, 5 and 10. Once again, we had to enjoy the story by reading a synopsis, but watching episodes 2, 5 and 10. Daleks Master Plan. Mavic Chen, who's like the guardian of the solar system, is conspiring with the Daleks, and because of the episodes we get to see, we don't really see the entirety of his machinations, but he's definitely a villain, because he has a beard. That means he's a villain in Doctor Who. Who's the actor who plays Mavic Chen? Peter Butterworth. No, Peter Butterworth, what am I talking about? That's the monk. I'm an idiot. Where's Mavic Chen? Kevin Stoney. Kevin Stoney's enjoying being a Muhaha villain from the glimpses we get. But the fact that this story is, let me check, is it 10 episodes? Yeah, 10 episodes. No, 12 episodes long.
So long.
12 episodes. Can I say something here? For the sake of this marathon, I'm glad it wasn't a 12 episode
we'd
thing.
still be
now,
watching
that
it
is
now.
not to say, stop writing in the comments, that is not to say I'm glad the Dalek Master Plan doesn't exist anymore. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is,
I am.
a Terry
I'm
Nation
joking.
script, because he wrote the first 5 and the
joking.
7th episode of this. A Terry
Okay.
Nation script dragged. And once again, what do we get?
Oh my god.
Daleks. Equivalent of Daleks in some kind of firefight, briefly. Jungles again. unlike the chase from last series, which we really enjoyed, if I remember correctly, the two of us,
Yes,
like
yes.
which jumps around,
Uh-huh.
like you know the Mary Celeste and the haunted house and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that was great.
Unlike the chase, this is mostly sort of similar places to the stuff we see in every Dalek story, and it's just sort of, we don't really get to.
Been there, done that.
I think we meet Katerina in the second episode. I think we saw her. Yeah, because don't we see her die?
Can I just be completely honest with you?
You don't remember this one?
I don't remember anything about it.
Well, you remember Nicholas Courtney?
I don't.
Nicholas Courtney
yes, I
played,
do. Yeah. I do remember that.
What's his character's name? Brett Vion.
I do remember.
I remember I said to you as soon as you watched episode 2, I was like, do you recognise anyone? And you sort of like, yeah. Is that the Brigadier?
The Brigadier.
I was like, yes, it is. In his first appearance in the show.
A very handsome man.
That's Brett Vion. Nick Courtney's a dashing gentleman.
Isn't it crazy how different people look with and without facial hair?
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Do you prefer Nick Courtney with the moustache or without?
I love a good moustache.
You do love a good moustache.
I do love a good moustache.
He nails Nick Courtney was that suave a mother-in-law. He even nails like the granddad look when it comes to the Sarah Jane Adventure stories. Like he's got the full grey beard, the tweed jacket, the walking stick, and it's just like, you still look suave. Like you look suave, my man.
Charming fellow.
He's great. He's great in all of it.
We will get to moustaches later. Later.
Please don't Trump pan this. It's a time capsule. Now, of course, Peter Butterworth the monk is in this, and we knew that, but we didn't know if we were going to see him.
I don't know.
Yeah, because you remember there's a whole bit where he sort of teams up with them reluctantly because he's trying to lure them into a trap because they're in Egypt. Remember, there's a brief bit in Egypt in the pyramids.
Absolutely not. I don't
Do you remember there's a bit in the pyramids and
no.
Well, the monk was in it, and there's like because the Doctor basically insists he'll meet the Daleks and give them the thing they need. I think this is one you really checked out on. You were like crocheting for most of these episodes.
I mean, this was what 3 out of 12 episodes. You didn't even see the first one.
Yeah.
It was. I'm not joking when I say I felt really disjointed. I feel completely out of it because I don't know what's going on. I don't know who that person is.
You'll be happy to know.
Other than now, now they've gone. You'll
be happy to know that as we enter Troughton's era, yes, there are lots of missing stories, but a lot of them are missing in their entirety.
Yeah.
So we're only, again, I'm not saying that's a good thing that they're missing, but I'm saying for the sake of the marathon, it's a little easier on you than just catching an episode, I think. I think if the episodes say like 1 of 4, you get a better sense of what the story's about. But if it's like 1 of 6, 7, 8,
3 of 12,
it's really tough. Yeah,
and they're so random as well. It was really, really hard to keep a track of what was going on. And so I think you're right. As I didn't do it on purpose, but I did check out completely.
If there is a fan edit out there of the Dalek Master Plan that cuts it down to a good like couple of hours, maybe I'd watch it happily, so I could sort of see what the breadth of the story is. Get to know Sarah. Is it Sarah Kingdom, the character called? Because her stuff was interesting. Like she kills her brother. Like, because she has to.
That.
Yes,
I remember
the drama of that bit. And I think episode 5 is really interesting.
She's like a bad guy, and then she's a good guy, and then it's.
We'd need the full story to appreciate it.
Why?
We did cheat a little. We watched a tiny bit of a reconstruction of specifically the last 30 seconds of episode 7, I think, The Feast of Stephen. Because I wanted to show you a really weird moment in the show's history. The Feast of Stephen. It's a story in the middle of the story that is mostly detached from the Dalek plot and goes on separately. And at the end of it, they escape whatever the plot is, and the Doctor brings like champagne in for them all. They all have a little glass of champagne or something.
Yeah.
And he says "Merry Christmas."
Yeah.
And he turns to camera and says, and I think it's incidentally, a very Merry Christmas to all of you at home. And you could sort of hear Peter Purvis sort of go like, hey, like cheering, almost as though he's like, what's he doing? Like, you know what I mean? And I, as far as I'm aware, I remember we watched one of the special features that mentioned it. He was told, he asked if he could do it. He was told not to, and then he did it. And you can imagine it was probably like the end of the studio day with like, we just have to close down. Like, people are here over hours. We need to go. I know I shouldn't, but I think he's a bit of a badass. Hartnell.
Yeah, I think that was a really badass thing to do. Well, it wasn't the greatest.
I think it's because you've been in work environments, and so have I, where you're the constant, and you can see the right way to do stuff and what you can and can't get away with. And people around you are like, no, we do it like this, and you're like, no, that's not what we do. So like he's sort of living out that moment where you just want to go no and put your foot down.
I'm going to do what I want to do. I mean, I know it must have been really difficult to work with a person like that.
Yeah.
But as
I
an
can
outside
imagine.
viewer, for something that was so, mixed up, mashed up, blah, 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 seeing that was kind of like,
Good on you,
hey,
Bill.
you absolute dick. But we love you.
Yeah, he was.
I'm really enjoying him as the Doctor, and I'm really sad that I know that it's coming to an end.
Yeah, well, I've got a few stories left yet for us to watch, as it were. Now, speaking of stories to watch, we couldn't watch this one. The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. This is the story featuring the war between the Protestants and the Catholics in 1572 in Paris. So again, another historical. Do you remember we watched? I can't remember which story it's on. It might be on the Ark. It might be on the Gunfighters. Let's have a quick gander.
Oh God, I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, Gunfighters. The End of the Line. We watched a documentary, didn't we? That was about like what it was like for the production. That last couple of blocks and everything at the end of this series, leading into the start of the next, and how difficult it was to work with Bill and the showrunner, for lack of a better term, that was brought in at the time, who clearly hated it and had been left with stuff he didn't want to do, like Dalek Master Plan, and like heads were butting all the time. Apparently, the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve upset a lot of people because it was very dark. Like, it's sort of dark, upsetting stuff. And, sorry, I was distracted momentarily by the thing I couldn't tell. That window was open before, wasn't it? The one that says movie library.
I don't think so.
Yeah, interesting. Ah, well. Anyway.
Is that going to say in the video?
Yeah, a little behind the scenes for you. So,
I keep getting me things wrong around.
Yeah. So we obviously can't see the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, and apparently kids did tune out. Like, the audience was less and less as it was going on, because it was just this dark, depressing storyline.
God.
In fact, the ending of it sounds so interesting. I wish we could have seen it as one of many reasons. Because there's a character in it, let me double check the character's name, called... Let's see. I'm trying to find the character's name. Anne Chaplet, that's it. So Annette Robertson plays a character called Anne Chaplet, who during the story they're unable to like save or whatnot. Or, her fate is left in a bad place at the end. Mm-hmm. So the TARDIS arrives in modern day after all the events, and Stephen basically says to the Doctor, "Why didn't you change anything? Why didn't you stop it? Like, it's a massacre." Like, and the Doctor says, "We can't interfere with history." And Stephen decides that all's hopeless and he doesn't care. He's getting out here and he's leaving. And then he bumps into, by chance, Dodo, whose surname is Chaplet, who bears a resemblance to the woman they met. And it kind of says to Stephen, like, she survived. Like, she must, like, that, or this is a very, very big coincidence, but, like, she survived and her family continued. And it sort of reaffirms to him that, okay, fair enough. But then Dodo ends up on board the TARDIS. And off they ruddy pop, mate!
Oh, bloody Dodo.
So for that ending alone, I'm interested, because obviously a modern Who story touches on that really well. Do you remember Fires of Pompeii? Mm-hmm. That does a great job. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame that we can't sort of see the original version of that from 65, but 66 even. So there we go. Now Lucy Brennan with Your Eyes and Neck. Now then. Can't say that anymore.
Why? What is it?
It's a dirty TV person. He used to use it as a catchphrase.
Oh no! Yeah. Oh, I take that back immediately. I do apologise.
Well,
I wasn't implying
You're saying it because you're Scouse.
I wasn't doing it.
You're saying it because you're Scouse.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Speaking of Scouse, doesn't work. The Ark, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first complete, full, bloody bastard story we can watch this series. Only story, 6?
40?
73?
I can't believe that other one was 12 episodes.
Tell us a bit about the Ark, Lucy. What happened in the Ark?
Anyway, I'm really not good at describing it.
Spaceship leaving Earth.
There was, there was a colony of people.
Yeah, and how many people?
7?
No.
There was hundreds of people on it.
More than that, millions.
There was a lot. There was an Earth full of people.
Where were they stored?
In little pods.
Yeah. They were stored in fridge. Yeah. All right.
I do listen.
You tuned back in for this one. Yeah. So who was on the spaceship piloting it, toward this eventual destination?
They were chosen people that were there to keep everything going.
Mm.
You know, build a statue. You know, make
yeah,
sure
which was
that,
taking like hundreds of years to get done. Yeah,
and making sure everything was going right.
Because why were they taking like a big chunk of humanity? Like, what was all that about?
Because Earth was dying.
Screwed. Earth was buggered. This is one of.
Just a peek
I think
into
this is the
future.
first of quite a few Doctor Who stories that cover periods in Earth's later history where the planet's screwed.
They all imply that we're going to ruin the planet.
Yeah, which we probably are.
Which is, I've just realised that, and that's quite an interesting concept. But yeah,
well, it's a good idea, isn't it? It's like, and a lot of the later ones do that.
But the thing is,
like
they
Ark in Space and Beast Below and stuff.
They get there, and flipping Dodo, she's got a bloody cold, hasn't she? So she's accidentally infected these people that have. Am I revealing too much?
No, this is the basic plot that starts the story off. Don't worry about
these
it.
These people are so far
beyond
into the future.
Yeah.
They have no illnesses at all,
or at least like none
of the
that
common
they
things.
They don't know how to deal with.
So their bodies can't react to it. So then disaster strikes, and it's
the cold starts to kill people.
Exactly.
Who helps them out? Who can you remember what they're called?
I don't. What's your name? I don't remember names at all.
The Monoids.
Monoids.
Who for the first 2 episodes? I think it's the first 2. Yeah, the first 2. They're all right. Like they look right. Like yep, cool, creepy design, and they blink, and you can tell it's like the way the costume is, the eyes in the mouth of the performer, which is a really nice touch.
I really liked that. I thought it was creepy,
and they were
really interesting.
There's this species that basically gone like, hey, we'll just happily serve you. It's fine, whatever. But then it's sort of implied later that no, it wasn't as easy as that. They maybe were just taken as slaves. So
did they explain where they came from?
I think they did, but I can't quite recall off the top of my head. I believe they were already on Earth before like the ship left, so it was like a thing. But again, a tradition that later Who delves into again. The idea of this, like the Ood, is obviously a very similar kind of concept. Like the Ood live to serve and are pleased to serve. Monoids, though, maybe not so pleased, because after the first 2 episodes, which and like have a trial and everything, and then Stephen is sort of used as the example of like, you're a bastard, oh, you shit.
The Doctor does some science.
He does some more flipping science.
Yeah, he does.
Drop some science on their assholes.
Well,
and wow.
There is, but at the end of the 2 episodes, there is an amazing twist that I did not expect.
Yeah, this was the first time in a while where I saw you go like,
I was really impressed by it.
So the TARDIS takes off, but isn't able to leave the same location. So it's travelled through time and space, as has the ship. And it's gone forward, but specifically in the ship's history. And they arrive on the same spot, and the Doctor doesn't understand why.
Like, hey, what's going on?
So they leave, and everybody's not there. The ship's still functioning, and it's very close to arriving to its destination. But what was the moment that hit you?
They're looking around, and they look up at the statue, and it's a flipping, what is it? Monoid. And it's like it zooms in on the head, and it's like,
statue of a man, and then you get to the head, and it's a monoid's head.
And it was like, ooh, that twist.
And we find out that in a couple 100 years or something, have passed since they were last on the ship, and the monoids they were given technology that helped them communicate verbally. And the moment that began, their independence really kicked in. They began to mobilise, and they have usurped, they have mutinied and overturned the humans, and the humans now are slaves who are sort of malnourished and not looked after and are barely alive, and are helping the monoids. A few other things that we love about this story. The planet they arrive on looks like it's already got habitats. There's like a dome and everything.
Yeah.
And the species that live there died out long ago and only like they've evolved to the point where they're just consciousness now. So you had an invisible character.
Yeah. Seeing the Doctor sat there having a conversation with
a chair that moves out as they sit down and goes back in.
I like that.
That was cool.
I thought that was really cool.
Tell you what, I think you forgot about this, but I'll tell you what was the coolest bit of the whole thing.
What?
If you were a monoid, where would you keep your prisoners?
In the kitchen?
What kind of kitchen? The security kitchen!
Oh, flipping it.
That was so bad!
They were all in the kitchen, weren't they?
The security kitchen!
The security
That
kitchen.
was the weirdest choice of things ever.
Didn't the top monoid have a sash on?
Yeah, oh hell yeah.
Oh, we know.
And
just so we know the difference between each.
Because they had like numbers on as well. They referred to themselves in numbers.
Yeah.
And they had they held like for some reason it was almost it was clearly planned. They all sort of held the bottom of the thing they were wearing
as they
when
were
they
talking.
spoke. Apart from a couple of shots where they just totally
didn't
forgot.
bother.
And it was like, oh, all right. So they don't have to do that then. So the rest of them look like idiots now.
Just showing off them guns, son. Sorry. Monoid guns.
It's like the monoid gun.
Oh, no, I as much as I'm laughing, I really enjoyed that one.
The arc was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Arc was a good time.
But flipping heck, that little transporter they had, how much noise did that thing make? You can't make a quick, quiet escape in that, can you?
I think we've missed a story.
Have we?
No, it was last one.
No,
I'm thinking of the Celestial Toymaker. That was series 2.
I was thinking that was this one.
Yeah.
I thought that was Dodo.
No, it was Vic. Oh no!
It was Dodo.
I'm an idiot, ladies and gentlemen. The next story is the Celestial Toymaker.
The one before that.
Yeah, you're right. It was Dodo. Sorry, we had a moment there. Next story is Celestial Toymaker, and boy, oh boy, can we tell? Watch The Mummy, the 1999 film, obviously.
Not that tripe.
How dare you? The original's amazing.
That dirt that came out last year. Was it last year?
Oh, I.
Oh, fool.
Celestial Toymaker. We didn't get to watch. We got to watch an episode of it.
So sad.
Specifically, episode 4, the last one. I would have loved to seen this.
Really, really would have. This sounds so good.
And,
it's got Alfred in it. Young Alfred.
No, sir. So Michael Gough plays the Toymaker, and this is the first notion that the Doctor has already had some adventures, because apparently this is the second time the Toymaker has played games with him. So the Toymaker exists in a realm sort of outside our own, in a dimension outside of the current one, who brings weary travellers and snatches people of interest and great intelligence in to play his games. And if they win,
sorry, I was having kisses.
If they win, if they lose, they are forced to stay there. Their ship and stuff is used. They have to be part of the games. They're converted or transformed or killed or whatever's part of the game.
Or killed,
No, but is it death or a fate worse than death?
Games or death.
If they win, he lets them go. Except he doesn't, because they figure out in episode 4 that he won't let them go. Because if he lets them go, his entire universe his universe will collapse. He'll survive because he's like a being of eternal life, and he'll rebuild.
Yeah.
But he'd rather not. So it's sort of revealed that anyone who has won the games, it's been very rare, he's just killed them, or given them a forfeit anyway.
How many episodes was this supposed to be?
4 episodes, 2 of which the Doctor spends invisible and just in voiceover.
Billy was on holiday.
Bills on holes. But it's not the Doctor's stuff that'd be the most interesting, because I like the idea that he's been given a really difficult puzzle and he has to make it in specifically like 1023 moves or something like that. He has to make it in that or less, or they lose. Whilst Stephen and Dodo are forced to play the other games.
Yeah.
And it would have been that's the thing that I would have loved to have seen.
Why was he invisible?
Because it was just sort of playing with him, toying with him, an inconvenience.
Just so he could go on holiday.
Well, in the first episode, he makes him invisible, and it freaks out like Dodo and Steven. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then he's brought back, like made visible again, and then he's turned invisible again while he's playing the game. So I think it's just to sort of, I think it was also to show off the special effect of just that floating hand, moving the stuff around. But it was in real life, it was so Bill could have some time off. But I would have loved to have seen the games, like, because there's the clowns and the Queen of Hearts and the King of Hearts and all these characters and stuff. But we did get to at least experience Cyril in the last one, the game, the hopscotch game with the electrified floor.
Yeah,
that was great, and I'm so grateful. A friend of the show, Matt Watson, his lovely dad Paul recently had a big clear out of Doctor Who stuff from the house, stuff that he's not really going to be looking through often, and it's just taking up space, but stuff he would rather someone enjoy, or if they're going to sell it on, like, know what they're selling on. So he's given it to me, and it's a bunch of like Doctor Who Adventures and a load of Doctor Who Weekly and Doctor Who Magazine, and also a big handful of Target books, which are duplicates. He's kept all of his Targets, but these were duplicates. Turns out one of them's a duplicate of one we already have.
Oh.
Yeah, Doctor Who and the Cybermen. which is I think the Wheel in Space.
Oh, why
we have
didn't
two
you
of it.
know this?
But it's a later edition. So
I'm joking.
They're printed like 6 years apart, so they're slightly different.
Oh, weird.
But one of the books was The Celestial Toymaker.
Hey! How convenient! And wasn't it just after we watched it?
Yeah, it was like 2 days after we watched the episode.
That episode was really enjoyable.
Oh.
And it's so heartbreaking that we're never. It's genuinely heartbreaking that we're never gonna see those.
Yeah.
There's not even a chance that we'll see them,
Insert
unless somebody found them like
miraculously.
Under the floor.
Well,
that's just...
you can watch a recon of this one in some form, and there's like the BBC audio release, which is read by Peter Purvis as like narrator, which trivia contains but has the volume of the narration way over a very dodgy old nursery rhyme that's used in it, which uses a racial slur.
Yeah, that's not good.
So yeah, if we didn't mention that, the comments would just be full of comments about it.
That's not good.
Hi guys. So anyway,
but the bit that we did see, obviously they were doing this hopscotch game. Oh no, what was it? Snakes and ladders kind of thing.
Well, it's sort of, it was like you roll the dice, and essentially, like Snakes and Ladders, you had to get the exact number to get to the end. If you got more than, you had to go back.
You kept making up rules.
Kept changing rules. And that was great. The idea of him playing this snivelling little schoolboy bully, but he was clearly like an older guy.
Yeah.
And just sort of really hamming it up. It was like if Mr. Toad were an absolute twat.
Yeah, and a person.
How dare you? Mr. Toad is a person. He's Toad of Toad Hall.
Oh.
He's a toad.
Yeah, he's a toad. That's why
in pants!
But there's
he wasn't Porky Pig in it.
that I did not expect to see.
Oh,
he falls.
Yeah, well, he sort of like lubricates one of the pads
as a cheat
to try and trip them up.
And then he stands on it and obviously whoop.
Whoa! And he charred corpses to death.
Yeah, you see this now. Keep in mind, this is a kids' show.
And it's not like skeletal per se, no. But it's like charred.
Burnt. There is a burnt body
of a schoolboy character.
And it was quite horrific to see actually. But it's not just like quick, blink, you've missed it. It was like
they hold on for a moment.
There's a body. Seen it? Okay.
Now we'll move away.
Now we'll move.
It's horrific.
It is,
but not as horrific as some of the accents in our next story.
Yay!
The Gunfighters. Let's talk about the Gunfighters.
I loved this one.
This is great.
It was fun.
And I think, I might be wrong, but I think this is our last pure historical until Black Orchid later. I think so.
What series is that?
It's a Fifth Doctor story.
No, oh my god, that's so far away.
No, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. There might be some Troughtons that are more pure historical, but Troughton is that era where the sci-fi plays a much bigger part in it all. So
that's upsetting.
It is sad, but
just have to watch the Aztecs over and over and over.
Oh, what a shame!
False goddess.
What was the villain called?
Tlatoxel.
What was Barbara posing as?
Yetaxa.
You really love that story, don't you?
Love it. I'm not good at remembering names. It's just one of those.
That's the thing. You're terrible at remembering names from stuff, but you remembered Tlatoxel and Yetaxa.
Yeah. Well, that is because you kept making me say it till I said it right.
Saying what?
Tlatoxel
and
Yetaxa. You can say.
Give that woman a medal. Pin it on her ribs. Gunfighters.
Anyway, yeah.
Right. Pros. It's the gunfight at the OK Corral. It's what do you call it? What's his name? Doc Holliday. And what's the other guy? What's the guy who's now a sheriff who used to be a criminal?
Oh God. I'm bad with names, so that's
I've got Wikipedia on my phone just to help us out with cast members, so I could just look at it. Wyatt Earp. Marshall Wyatt Earp. So you had like these historical characters. You have the Clantons, who of course were part of the big shootout at the OK Corral. You got Johnny Ringo, who's like the fastest gun and gun for hire. But most importantly, they arrive, and I love the idea behind this, like the reason for the story. The Doctor's tooth has started hurting.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care where they arrive. He's just land here. Is there a dentist? Good. Take me to the dentist.
Why on earth would you want to go to a dentist in the Wild West?
I think Stephen says that as well. He's like, "Are you sure about this?" And he's like, "Oh, shut up, you little bastard! I'm going to bleed out. Oh, yes." So yeah.
I don't think he quite said
I'm going to you don't get me some morphine. I'm going to cut off your testicles. Oh, yes. Oh, cut them off. Oh, yes. Luckily for the Doctor, there is
Dodo
a
and
dentist.
Stephen get back in the town.
Yeah, Dodo's
Leave the Doctor.
There is a new dentist practice in town.
Mm-hmm.
Bad news is, it's run by Doc Holliday, former criminal and gunfighter, who's trying to keep his nose clean. But the moment he finds out people in town are after him, and that the Doctor's name is the Doctor, he immediately sets it up that the Doctor will go in his place to the meeting point.
Sneaky.
Dodo and Stephen absolutely immediately buy into this, so much so they go into the Doctor's wardrobe and take cowboy and cowgirl outfits that are really garish.
Yeah, it makes me think of Marty McFly.
Yes, that's what I thought too, because it's just like these. Everyone who's actually there is in like blacks and browns and everything. And even the black and white, obviously TV, but you can see that they're in darker colours. And Stephen's clearly wearing something that's like bright blue or bright pink.
And they get
pink
caught, don't they? Because Stephen's got a gun, but it's not a real gun, is it?
Yeah, that's why they get taken in by White Earp at first, and then it's they're left to be, and they're going to stay. It's kind of a cool idea. It's like this is what an adventure for a Doctor and his companion should be. Like they get somewhere, they're going to stay overnight, sort of see it, and then be like, right, let's get going. We'll be okay. And obviously it doesn't go as smoothly as that. This was really cool,
really fun.
It's played up as a comedy, but it's got some really black moments in it.
Yeah.
There's 2 lingering shots of a dead character slumped over something that last forever.
And he was a good character too. I liked him. He wasn't like an integral.
No, but played up for comedy, and because of that, he was quite sympathetic. Johnny Ringo's a really cool addition. Like once he arrives, you're like, oh yeah, no, they're in trouble. Like you get it. You're like, He's
got a black shirt on.
No, but like he kills somebody in just casually, like in cold blood, and you're like, okay, yep, no, we've got a villain in this story. We've got a pretty scary villain in the story. Like the Earps getting involved, and the brothers, and what happens to one of the youngest brother and everything, and there's some great stuff. The gunfight at the end is pretty great. The scene where they're going to lynch Stephen, like if the doc, that it's the Doctor, but they don't realise it's not Doc Holliday, doesn't leave the sheriff's office, and it's like, this stuff's really tense and great, and the sets are brilliant in this one. I know they use like the bar and the dentist surgery and the inside of the sheriff station
in between
a
them.
lot. They use it a lot.
Yeah,
but they look good.
They do.
I think this is one of the better aged stories as well from this era in terms of just the pacing of it and how it looks. One thing that we did not care for about this,
that's putting it lightly,
to the point where we began playing it at twice the speed when these bits happened. So we could still hear it, but we were just like, we said going over it with our own lyrics. Were the song narrations.
Oh my gosh.
What in the living hell was that all about?
Who decided that it was a good thing?
Some fool.
I hope they were fired.
Could you describe what you think of the songs in roughly 20 seconds while I go and grab the charger? Because that laptop is running out quicker than I thought it would.
Oh no. Oh, I'm left to my own devices. What can I do? No, it was just describing exactly what happened just then in just really, really stupid lyrics to the same tune. Sometimes it'd be faster, sometimes it would be slower, but it was just describing exactly what you've just watched, and it was like, please at least change the pitch or the tune or something, just for the love of God, and don't do it between every scene.
Lucy was describing all the songs.
That is exactly the tune.
She was describing songs, and she's describing songs. She was describing songs, the song she was describing. Something, something, something at the Last Chance Saloon.
Last Chance Saloon. Flipping out.
Every
time.
Every damn episode. Every 5 seconds. Without fail. Yeah, that was... Oh, hello.
Hey. Easy now, Tiger.
That was, like... It became beyond obnoxious. And it's a real shame because it was the one bad thing about this story, really.
Well,
that and a couple of the accents, yeah.
There was one. There was one of the gang.
Yeah, the fella who looked, sort of one of the younger one with the dark hair, who looked a bit. He sort of looked like Jim Dale from Carry On a little bit.
He was very English.
God,
and
he was.
At some points, you could tell he was really trying, but he just gave up.
Yeah, the accents in this got loose in places. Not for Doc Holliday, not for Wyatt Earp.
Doc Holliday, I've got to say, was
not for
fantastic.
The barman. He's great, wasn't he?
He was really good.
Like proper slimy villain. But then when he rocks back up in episode 4 and he's like, I'm going to help you. You're like, yes!
He was
You're
really
glad he's
animated.
on side.
He was really animated, the act. I think he was fabulous.
His scenes with Dodo and
he was kind of charming.
and Sheena Marsh's Kate, their scenes together were all really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because Dodo sort of gets sidetracked because she's basically used as leverage by Doc Holliday when he's escaping town. And she's just with him. And then that was a great scene where she pulls the gun on him and obviously doesn't know how to use it. But he sort of honours her word. He's like, basically, because she was plucky enough to nick his firearm and threaten him, he admires that. And he's like, oh, right, fine, I'll take her back to town. And
he's charming about it.
Yeah, he plays it like he's genuinely like, of course, my lady, no worries at all.
You got me.
You think, is he gonna sort of like snatch it off of her? And because doesn't she just sort of hand it to him?
Yeah,
and he's
she
like,
does, yeah.
And you think, oh no. But he stays true to his word.
Yeah.
He admires the fact she stood up to him.
Dodo is plucky
and then faints the moment like yeah.
Dodo's quite plucky in this one. I think
she's enjoyable.
And
she can play.
Yeah, Stephen and Dodo are really talented musicians. Like, what the hell?
Do you all supernaturally do we all supernaturally get the ability to play piano perfectly when we're threatened at gunpoint by cowboys?
Yeah, but only by cowboys. You've got to pass a test before you go in the TARDIS. You've got to have skills in each department. So you've got to have a little bit of fighting skills, music skills, science skills, history skills. You know, if you can't pass them, then you can't go.
No dentistry. No, I shan't have dentist on the TARDIS.
No medical. None of that.
I'm a doctor of persuasion. So you're not
what are you a doctor of? Nothing.
Farting around, my boy.
Getting us into mischief.
I think it's safe to say this was our favourite Series 3 story.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. The Gunfighters. If you want this on DVD and you're thinking, I can't find it, this is packaged, as you see it says, not to be sold separately.
Oh,
This is packaged in a box set called Earth Story, which is this, and I think, let's see, it's with a 5th Doctor story. What the hell?
It does that.
Oh, I don't like that. New phone, guys. New phone, who dis?
Excuse me. God, it's so late. I mean, what time is it? It's past my bedtime.
It was packaged in a box set with The Awakening, a 5th Doctor story. The loose connection basically being they're both set on Earth. So they were put in a box set called Earth Story. Oh, I see the
similarities.
It's the stupidest reason for release, but whatever.
So you can't get that separately?
No, you have to buy that box set.
That's so weird.
But because they're one discers and they've got a couple special features on them each, the box set's like 15 quid.
I do recommend it though because it is good.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. You will be laughing. You will be
you'll be laughing for all the reasons they want you to laugh. You'll be laughing for reasons they didn't want you to laugh. And even in the documentary, it was on here, wasn't it? The End of the Line documentary. They speak about the song when they get to this story and about how they're like, yeah, we're not quite sure what we were thinking there.
I'm pretty sure there's real horses in it too. So that's the thing.
You'll find real horses at the Last Chance Saloon.
I'm really impressed you remember the tune. I just blocked it out of my brain.
I feel sad in my soul. Do you know what else makes me feel sad in my soul?
What is that?
The Savages. And the fact that we'll never see it. So the Savages doesn't exist anymore, but it's a story set on a planet where society is these really sort of well-to-do people inside their... see what they're called. They've got names. It's well-to-do people inside like this big sort of domed city. The Elders. And outside are the Savages. And over the course of the story, the TARDIS team realised...
Where's this set?
It's on a different planet. A distant planet in the far future. It doesn't give a name.
Right.
So, the Elders Society is like, oh, prosperous and everything's wonderful. And Dr. Dodo, Stephen, it's lovely to meet you. Here's everything you could ever want. Here, let's treat you and everything. It's like, oh, great, lovely, fantastic.
That's always
Last time this happened in the Keys of Marinus, it was something sinister and there were brains with eyes in jars. And Barbara had to smash a bitch.
Smite them.
Yeah.
Oh, Barbara. Miss Barbara.
Ian. He's fine. What are you doing?
I was busy and Barbara so much.
Really, I'll do it. But the Savages outside, turns out, are actually just people who've been sort of mistreated. There's an implication that oh no, it's not an implication. It's flat in the story. They've been like brain drained and stuff, and they've just been dumped out there. Yeah, it's like a machine because it nearly happens to the Doctor. And eventually they help the Savage. It's the classic Doctor Who thing of like, oh, we meet these people, now we meet these people, which has already become a trope by 3 series in. Mm-hmm. But they deal with it, and then they essentially broke a peace between them. Like, they overthrow the ones who were doing it, and it's like, look, we can all get along. and Stephen stays behind to oversee it. So we lose Stephen. This is Vicky, Katarina technically, Sarah technically, and Stevens. This is 4 characters.
They've just gone.
They're just gone, and we're not able to see the stories. Are you sad to see Stephen leave?
I don't feel like we've seen enough of him to get the same like bond as you do Vicky, Ian and Barbara, of course.
How about after the Gunfighters, though? Because the 3 of them play off each other so well in this story that it's sort of like, I'd like to see more of these 3.
Yeah.
And then we don't. Like, off he pops.
Yeah.
Do you know what you need?
What do I need?
Some consistency in your companions.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the next story is the War Machines.
Oh.
So, the War Machines.
Now
this is regarded. We've just watched this tonight. I've seen this one before. Yeah, just full disclosure. I've seen a lot of these before, but not all of them. I have seen this one before a few times.
I've seen none.
In fact, I think this was the second Hartnell I bought. Yeah, the Aztecs and the War Machines were the first 2 Hartnells. I think it was W.H. Smith did like a thing where it was like 2 for £15 at one point. And I was like, I really enjoyed the Aztecs. I want more of the First Doctor, so I picked up that one and something else. Because believe it or not, for a while I only had about 7 of these.
Now you've got about 700.
Yeah, and we're still missing about 10.
Is it only 10? I thought you were missing more.
Mostly from the 4th Doctor's era, and I think 1 5th Doctor and 1 7th Doctor.
They've been on your Amazon wish list for many a year, haven't they? And
so if you guys want to help out, let me know, and I'll move them to a public wish list. Because yay. Because starving artist. Anyway. Which is ironic, because we could just sell these for food. But then you wouldn't get any videos.
Pros and cons, pros and cons.
Ooh.
Anyway, yeah.
The War Machines features the first story, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first story set in modern day. At the time, 1966.
You might be correct.
Yeah, like obviously there's the bit at the end of the chase set in London some years. Yeah.
60 something.
Yeah. But, so, Dodo's effectively back home. Lucky sod. Everyone else would be like, oh, when am I going to get back home, Doctor?
Just remind me, did we meet Dodo? Did we there at the beginning?
We didn't see it. Dodo arrived in the Massacre of St.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, I remember. Yeah.
We experienced, like, her stories, basically.
Yeah.
Since then. The War Machines. So, I don't know the exact history, but essentially, Dodo and Dodo's performer, whose name I've forgotten and I want to get it right for many reasons. Dodo's performier, Jackie Lane. I believe it was someone on the show just didn't want her in it anymore, like a producer or something.
Jackie Lane. That sounds like a very
Jackie
60s...
Lane is Billy Who and Billy Hay.
That sounds like a very 60s name. Jackie Lane.
See.
I like
Let's see
I like
what the
it.
story is. I want to make sure I get this right.
Well, they end up in London, don't they?
Yeah, they end up in London, and the first thing they see is the post office tower, which was, a relatively new and ting, and it was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. But immediately the Doctor's like, no, there's something wrong about this. Like, he's getting a sense of something alien and odd about something. It. And he really wants to get it seen to. So they sort of bluff their way, in very modern Doctor Who style, they just bluff their way into getting to see sort of what the experiments are going on in there at the moment. And one is a big communication thing, a brand new computer system called Votan, that has been supposedly invented by, let's double check his name, supposedly been invented by Professor Brett, but the Doctor senses alien technology. And I don't think that ever got resolved in the story, did it? Like by the end of it, they don't have a thing of where did it come from. No, it's just Dr. Brett invented it apparently, but it's definitely alien because the Doctor asks it a question. He's like, it can answer anything. Keep in mind, guys, they didn't have these. They couldn't just Google a question. Like this was 66, so it was the idea was very cool that it's a computer. You can ask it anything and it prints out the answer. That's awesome. So the Doctor asks it like, what's the square root of 4 million and something, and it prints it out exactly. And he's like, oh yes, very good, very good. And Dodo's like, well, I'm going to stump it. What does TARDIS stand for? And it prints out time and relative dimensions in space.
Gets it ruddy right.
Which is a great opener to the story, because you're like, he's not wrong then. This is something beyond. Because it knows what TARDIS means. which at this point in the continuity means it must have had a conversation with Susan. But anyway, so
That's quite a funny image in my head right now. Just Susan, an elderly Susan.
TARDIS stand for?
Now, what year did Susan get dropped?
Dropped. 2150, I think, because that's when the film's set, something like that. But later, not in the 60s. So in the future.
So it can't have got dropped in the 60s. What?
What?
So she can't have had a conversation with it.
No, I was taking the piss.
No, I know, but it just.
Are you hoping that? Don't give Big Finish ideas. They'll do a box set.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how that could have happened. Because they do never imply. The fact that it knew that made me think that it was maybe a Dalek story, because I've not seen a Dalek in a couple of stories, and that's against the rules, isn't it?
Probably. You know what? I'm not going to keep scrolling because it's going to thingy. But
I think I'm against the norm when am I going to put a lot of people off this?
What, after watching the War Machines?
No. What about what I'm about to say?
Go for it.
I am not a huge fan of the Daleks.
That's fine.
I know let's
contextualise. Are you not a huge fan of the Daleks full stop? Or in our marathon so far, are you not a fan of the Daleks?
I think just in general.
Oh, Get Out.
Because
Get Out is an excellent movie directed by Jordan Peele, and you should all see it.
The one with Eccleston, obviously the game station one. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, wait, do you mean the finale?
Yeah.
Not Dalek. Because that one's phenomenal.
Which one's Dalek?
Dalek's the one in Henry Van Statten's underground base.
That's
in 2012
great. That's
Utah,
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Eccleston's we'll get to that when we get to it. But it's like
Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways.
It's pretty much a flawless series almost.
How dare you? It is a flawless series.
Okay, I don't know. It's a flawless series.
Right down to I'm shaking my booty. It's flawless.
Oh dear.
It's flawless.
Anyway. So no, okay, right.
So you like the Daleks at the start of the modern era. So like Doomsday, Planet, Army of Ghosts sort of thing when they first arrive out of that sphere and we didn't see it coming, and then it's them against the Cybermen.
I like that. And then
Journey, do you like? I can't remember if you like Daleks in Manhattan.
I was just gonna say that
Evolution
I kind
of
of enjoyed that one.
I think it's because it's a historical period you're interested in, and it's that mix.
Yeah.
And there's that stupid shot where one of them looks around to make sure no one's listening and turns back to have a conversation with the other one. It's like, this is so stupid. I kind of like that. That's something.
And the fact that they turned a Dalek human-y, I found that really interesting.
Which the idea that they wanted slaves, but the new humans would resist, so they just genetically hybridize them with pigs.
But then they had feelings.
To make them into... Well, Laszlo did.
Laszlo. Anyway.
Do you like Journey's End, Stolen Earth, End of Series 4 with Davros? The first time Davros comes into the modern show, and it's the big crossover between the three shows at that point. It was the Avengers of television. Torchwood and Sarah Jane cross over into it.
No.
I think when we rewatch that, you'll like that one.
Yeah, maybe,
I've got a suspicion.
In my head.
Do you remember that cliffhanger when he gets shot by the Dalek? Everyone was like, wait, what? And there was no next time trailer for the first time ever. It just said to be continued and it went to the credits.
No?
He starts to regenerate. And it goes.
Is that where the hand comes from?
That happens in the next. Yeah.
Oh no, the hand comes from is that Christmas special?
The hand's from Christmas Invasion, but Jack brings it with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, that went out. I forgot we were recording then. We after watching, there's quite a lot of Dalek stories in this first run. Yeah. And I don't know. It's very to me. It seems like I've run out of ideas. I'll put the Daleks in it. I know it won't be like that. It wasn't that.
It was more. But the Daleks get ratings. Bring them back.
We're gonna run out. They're gonna take the Daleks away from us.
What made you bring up the Daleks just now?
Because I was just saying, I thought this because there hadn't been a Dalek story in a while. I thought this was going to be a Dalek story.
Was it the close up of the War Machine's gun as well?
It was.
They're very similar.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is definitely a Dalek story."
Were you pleasantly surprised to find out it wasn't?
I was incorrect, but you do that really annoying thing where I'll go, "Oh, this is a thing, innit?" And then you'll go, "Is it?" Do you want me to answer that question?
Well, you did that really annoying thing by going, "Oh, this is a thing, isn't it?"
Is that annoying?
And it's like, well, yeah, because what am I supposed to say to that? Yes
Nothing.
or no?
Carry
yes
on watching.
Or no? Yes or no?
I was not looking at you for an answer. It was a rhetorical question. Was it a question? I don't think it was. Anyway, so yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. Having said that though, I was kind of built up in my head that Dalek's gonna come out any minute now.
Any minute now.
Episode 3, end of episode 3. Any minute now. No.
What did we learn from the War Machines? We learned what people do when they're having their minds invaded. Do you care to recreate it with me? Oh, I'm all hypnotised now.
We did that at the same time. That was great. Well done.
Good work.
Nice.
We got the part.
But also, like, people become really posh when they've been hypnotised.
Yes, like, well, that was apart from the drones.
Name?
Apart from the drones.
What was that guy's
apart
name?
from the people who were working just as slaves in the manual labour. Oh God, wait, who are we talking about?
That they
Oh God, the one who dies at the end. Spoilers, everyone.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah, Crimpton.
Professor
Crimpton.
What a great name, Crimpton. That is so.
Crimpton. Now. Yeah, he was. But again, like, it was the whole thing of like they get brainwashed by Votan. Because spoiler alert, guys, Votan is an alien computer and
not a Dalek.
It's not looking to dominate Earth. It just decides that Earth as a planet will not progress any further with humanity running things the way they are. So it decides, right, well, what we do is we convert humanity into slaves to help us build a better planet for whatever's next. And we build war machines to fight back against any humans who rebel. So as far as like world domination plots go, they don't get that far into the world domination in this story, which I kind of like, because normally it's always like, it's the last second, oh my God.
Yeah,
and it builds a natural tension, but it does become a trope. Whereas in this one, they resolve it all in day one. Like, they stop it in day one. They stop, like, the test of the first war machine. Then Votan is a lot like, send out another batch, just like a panic. It's like, right, we already have another one ready, and that's going to go out. And as soon as the next one's ready, that's going to go out. And they trap the second one. They use an EMP thing and a rope to sort of short out its signal, because it's all signals and receivers.
Special rope. And
there's a lot of explaining what computers are in this, which seemed really weird and sort of dumbed down at moments. And then you realise, it's 1966. People have no idea what programming is really.
I do think it was a really clever story.
It was all accurate science.
Yeah. Yes, I know. It was a clever story to do because obviously technology started coming into life at that time. So I like how things turn upcoming things into something scary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had an example in my head that was a really good one and I've completely forgotten it now. But computers come into people's lives. Oh, people are thinking, oh, what is this? What is this? This is new. This is shiny.
This is going to be a communication network throughout the world. It's going to be amazing. Oh no, it turns on us.
Terrifying.
Few of the things about this story
I messed that up, sorry.
worth talking about.
I know what I'm talking about.
So this is the first story where we see the Doctor's skill for hypnotism, because he sort of puts Dodo under to take her out of her trance, and then sends her off. And boy, does he send her off. Put a pin in that. We'll get back to that in a second. This carries on later. You realise that it seems to be a thing that a lot of Time Lords can do. The Fourth Doctor uses it numerous times throughout his run.
Oh, really?
And the Master, specifically in his first incarnation, uses it all the time. But he's not like the therapist sort of calming thing. He's the whole, and you will obey me, sort of evil hypnotist with his beard. He's freaking great. I cannot wait for you to get to Roger Delgado. He's so good. And then Anthony Ainley after is a lot of fun. But
who's the crispy one?
Geoffrey Beevers and I think Peter Pratt. There's two people play that Master because he appears in two stories.
The only thing I know from it is that figure you've got upstairs where he's got really big.
That's from the Deadly Assassin, yeah.
And it's just really funny.
Yeah, that's Peter Pratt, I think. And the other one's Geoffrey Beaver. A new body at last.
Like beef jerky. Anyway, sorry.
So we've got that. What else? We meet Polly and Ben.
We do.
Ben and Polly, new companions, in what will be the only complete story you're going to see them in.
Really?
We're going to see at least two more stories with them in that we are watching in full, but they're completed by animation.
Who's the actress that plays Polly?
Polly is played by Annette Wilkes.
She is.
Annette Wills, sorry.
She is like stunning.
She's pretty striking, isn't she?
She is beautiful.
I'm
allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Sorry, wow. Wait, hang on, no.
Oh,
No! Hang on.
no.
Michael Cray's is Ben. Their intros are lovely. Like,
So
Polly
cute,
instantly sort of takes Dodo under her wing.
Yeah.
She's asked to look after her. She's the secretary at the
Go to the
research
hippest
place.
place in London.
The Inferno Club.
Look,
Yeah.
Everybody dancing to
Don't
music.
normally get people, we're 20 in here, doctor. Hey, all right, you've got the older sister you're going to set me up with. Woo, yes, woo, woo.
Ooh, don't do that, doctor.
Dirty that.
I love seeing people dancing
It's a
from that
music
era.
that's not there.
But from that era, it's like you're dancing in a full-on suit, and it's is that dancing?
Well, sure. Ben's on shore leave, waiting at post, so he's with the Navy.
And he's really sad. What is he sad about? Did we ever find out?
I think it's just because he's been waiting around too long. He's sick of not being needed. He's getting bored.
Wants to go.
But it's that whole thing of does everyone who's on duty in the Navy still go clubbing whilst wearing their naval uniform?
Oh, bless, yeah.
Like Donald Duck. But
with pants.
But like we get a bar fight. Oh,
yeah.
And we get Polly being really sort of charmingly flirty and like being the hippest girl in town and all that stuff. And it's great.
It's beautiful.
And the brief scenes we get with her, Dodo, and Ben in the club as they get to know each other are really sweet. And then Dodo gets hypnotised and buggers off and then comes back being all evil and then gets sent to a house in the country with it's like Sir Charles's wife or something.
Who knows?
So she can recover. And then we never see her again. The Doctor's waiting around for at the end, which really charming. The fact that he's in modern times and there are still sort of police boxes from time to time. So he just puts an out of order sign on the door. And they watch a policeman sort of walk past and go, oh, and carry on walking. And he's got that cheeky little smirk on his face. But like he's waiting for Dodo and she doesn't show up. But Ben and Polly show up to say, "Oh yeah, we've been told to pass on a message. She's happy there and she's going to stay." And it's something to do with the actress not being asked back, basically.
This is over the course of like a day, 2 days, couple of days. So how would he have expected her to go to the country, recover, and be back again in the space of a day?
Space magic. Yes, well, put it this way: everyone else is fine.
Yeah.
Like Polly's hypnotised for like episode 3 and 4, and then she's
intensely.
like, "Yeah, I'm fine now. I'm fine." But she's not hypnotised the way that the important people are hypnotised, which, like you say, is just them shouting and being posher.
And posh.
Yeah, it's like everyone else is like, "I've been given my instructions. I will obey," and the higher ups are like, "You will listen to Votan, you little shit. No, come over here. I'll put you across my knee." Like. It's like you guys are way more animated.
They did not say that.
What do you think? Did you think the war machines were imposing at all, considering they're essentially computers as a tank?
No.
Did you get the sense that they were once again
a lot of things.
like the Mechanoids and the Chumblies? They were trying to create another Dalek-like thing.
Well,
they hoped would catch on.
The Mechanoids and the Chumblies. I love the word Chumbly. Did I say that?
Yeah, already. You may have mentioned it.
I
think this is our longest video yet.
What is it?
1 hour 13.
Oh, Jesus. The Mechanoids, I think...
There's no stories in this series that we've watched.
We've just been going on tangents, though.
God.
It's a long day. I mean, I should be in bed by now. What time is it?
You keep saying that. It's only 2 PM.
Oh, my God. It's bedtime.
Time for a nap.
No, Mechanoids, I think they looked fantastic. I really do. And I like that they had these little huggy, like, arm things that came
We will hurt you with our huggings. Yeah. Right. And then the Chumblies are just these little sort of vacuum cleaners.
Hello.
Well done.
Thanks.
That's good.
And the Chumblies, obviously, they're just amazing. Whereas this guy, what was it called?
War Machines. It's the title of the bloody story.
Oh, shit.
The War Machine. Oh, shit. The War Machine. This little fella.
Oh, not that you can see it because it's not in focus, but... There you go. Let me have a look at it. Let me just have a look.
There's the post office tower.
Right. How did I describe it? Oh yeah. So to get it in this trap, they'd sent alerts to everybody like stay in your homes. The British public, stay in your homes. There's a dangerous robot on the loose.
Stay in the bar. Get pissed.
In the hippest place in town, the Inferno.
If I don't follow any tramps into any warehouses, you're gonna get killed, son.
I forgot what I was going to say.
You say like they trap it in...
So
the cables, they're cables.
Sorry, not rope.
Yeah, they're clearly just rope covered in like rubber, but they're cables.
Special rope.
They're very heavy.
The British public were told to stay inside, weren't they? There was a big like montage of people being told that it's dangerous outside.
Like the attack's been prevented.
And I was just picturing myself being in one of these houses.
Well, a lot of the activity happens at like Covent Garden. So say you're in say you popped into the Moomin shop to get a spatula, and then you're walking out and you're gonna go get a coffee.
We don't have a Moomin spatula. That's outrageous. Anyway.
Oh God.
No, we do have a Moomin spatula. Anyway,
Stay on target.
Yeah. So you're really scared, really worried that there's these killer robots, war machines coming, and you look out your window and you see that coming.
Just chumbly wandering its way towards you.
Its weapon is a fire extinguisher. I just thought I was hilarious because how did I describe it? Oh, it looked like something made on Scrap Heap Challenge.
Yes, that was a perfect description.
or Robot Wars. Because it had this hammer thing that came.
Yeah.
And what did the doctor say?
It needs Craig Charles to narrate over it.
Something.
Yeah, it's like, no, watch your temper, or something like that, yeah. That moment was really cool. It was sassy as hell.
Yeah, he was sassy. This robot was like, oh.
And Sir Charles, you were obsessed with Sir Charles' wisps. Yeah. He had like a little wisps at the back of his ears.
But we're missing out the best bit of this episode.
Oh?
Now, everybody loves a good mustache, don't they?
Oh, Jesus.
So there was
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Generals.
It was like generals in the military were there, because there's this great scene. And again, anything shot on film in this in daylight looks gorgeous. Really good, yeah, like it looks like modern. It looks like modern footage. Yeah. Not as strong light, doesn't look as great. But in the broad daylight shots, and there are several in this of the war machine, looks great. But there's a bit where it's a firefight and the army can't, like, you're thinking, yes, they're going to stop it. But their guns are jamming. I don't know if they explain that, but I guess the idea is whenever it's around, it disables the weaponry. Like, the weaponry can't work.
They say, you're surrounded, war machine, there's nowhere else to go. None of the guns work, so why was the war machine even, like, bothered?
Well, I guess because they didn't know the guns weren't working at that point, because all that had happened in the warehouse, and they got into scuffle. No, but then it tries the minigun. Then it was like... It tries the minigun, and it can't... That's the moment where they all realise when those two guys try the minigun, they're like, it's not working.
It's not, because beforehand, the guys were like, what? What's happening?
Wait, Tim Allen was in it?
Anyway, so there's obviously the colonels get there and see the severe damage, and Christopher was like, "Whoa, did you see that mustache?" And there's a guy in the background, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's a pretty good mustache."
Yeah, got a bit of a tash.
Yeah, it was pretty well shaped.
It's like that, yeah.
Like, in the appropriate place, under the nose, above the lip. And then he went, "Oh no, not that guy!" And just a guy comes in from the side with the biggest thing. That is a very accurate, like, description of it. It was fabulous, wasn't it?
It's my representation of that man's mustache.
It was fabulous.
So if you watch the War Machines, take a shot when you see that mustache. There's at least 2 shots where you see it.
You've got to get all the way through it just to see that mustache. You won't regret it, I promise.
Now, one thing we haven't mentioned, again, I'm sure someone's already written it in the comments. Don't waste your time. This is the one story where, for some reason, the Doctor is referred to as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Doctor Who is required. And again, it's never explained why, but you get the idea is they want to, well, in terms of why they want him, the general idea is they want to take him because if they've got his brain on their side, they're going to advance quicker. Mm-hmm. But again, there's no explanation after that of where Votan came from. Why is it recognised him as an alien present? Do you know what I mean? There's just, there's so many things left unsaid in this. And the last episode, the last 5 minutes does feel like they've sort of gone, moving on, Dodo says bye. So yeah. But yeah, did that, because I don't think I told you before we watched it that was going to happen.
No, it was as it happened.
But I was just like, did you hear that? And he went, wait, what? And we rewound it. You heard it again, you're like, what the hell? Weird, right?
Bizarre.
But it's because publicly, in the public consciousness and in the credits, he's credited as Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. So it probably wasn't seen as too odd. Now it seems odd, because obviously we know full well that, you know, the character's the Doctor. Mm-hmm. Doctor Who's just the title, it's a statement, blah, blah, blah. It should be a question mark, technically, but whatever. Maybe that's what that is, and he keeps going, hoo, and his lip is the question mark that's missing. Oh. And then later on they'll stick them on the collars and everything will go downhill.
Bless.
So
yeah, it was a weird episode.
Yeah.
It's
a big favourite, but I've never loved it as much as others do.
No.
But there is some really nice imagery in this.
Yeah.
Like when he stands up to the war machine at the end of episode 3, the cliffhanger is he just strolls out in front of it and just stands there.
Yeah.
As the military are running and cowering. The Doctor just stands out there and just holds it. And it's like, oh, that's cool.
I don't recall at any point the Doctor looking worried or
In this series, you mean? Like
no, in this episode in general.
Yeah. Oh no, he was on
Specifically,
it.
sorry.
He looked fidgety sometimes. Like
Yeah,
we
like,
could be doing something. We could be doing something.
A bit thinky, but
a bit thinky.
But I don't.
Do you like pensive? Do you like pensive?
Yeah.
A bit thinky. God, I love you.
It's late. I should be in bed by now. Anyway,
you keep saying. So yeah.
Yeah, I think So it was
just a few.
Not my favourite of the series.
Yeah, out of the 3 we've watched, but again, some right corkers in it, like the Gunfighters.
Yeah.
And the episode of Celestial Toymaker and things like that.
I liked the arc.
Yeah, the arc's a lot of fun. And,
I enjoyed that.
The idea's great, but I think it's done better later when we watch
twist.
When we watch the arc
in
in space, and when we revisit the Beast Below in modern Series 5, like the story of humanity leaving the planet has been done better in the show's history. But the basic idea of the arc, I really like.
And I think
you almost didn't need the second half of the story, even the monoid takeover.
But I liked that.
Me too.
I think that was like maybe in my top 5.
Okay.
Because I really
You really like that. Then.
I loved the idea that I'm stood like. Sorry.
Ow.
Please
do not throw feet at me.
Sorry. I liked the idea that a cold.
That's what I'm saying. Like that almost is a story on its own. Just that idea.
I liked that. And then so there's that big plot point, and then they go away, and then they come back, and it's like,
Well, I remember it got to the end of episode 2, and you're like, "Is the story over then? How many was that? That wasn't very long."
Yeah.
It was like, "Got 2 still to go."
Yeah.
Statue happens.
I really enjoyed that. That was.
So series 3, would you say overall the weakest of the 3 series we've watched so far?
Yeah.
What do you take away from this that you really like, though? What do you really like from this?
Hartnell's character.
He's you get it now in terms of and obviously you get it, but like are you like that's the Doctor? This is what the Doctor is like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wonder how you're going to feel. I mean, obviously you've watched different Doctors before. Because again, just to reiterate, this isn't like I can't remember what it's called, but there's a blog site that's been run for years where a husband introduced his wife to the show and she'd never seen any of it before, and it was like a journey throughout the whole thing.
Oh right.
Lucy is a fan of the modern era of Who, specifically like 2005 to 2011-ish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like early Matt Smith is sort of where you are still sort of, yay, great, and then you...
Yeah, and then it's kind of ebbed away. Anyway, I watched some Tom Baker episodes as a child, because when my parents were watching it on
Gold and stuff.
Yeah. What's that one with the mummy-looking... robots where it's got like a big chest.
The Mummies, Pyramids of Mars.
That I've seen. I've seen like a specific.
That's the one with Sutek.
Many,
you bought me the toy set, the 2 mummies and Sutek with his little jackal head. No, it's the jackal head version you bought me. Yeah.
I don't remember. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. So I've seen that bit coming in coming out like that big robot thing coming to life with its big hand. I've seen that
robot
a fair few times.
The K1. The big bugger. We saw it at the exhibit.
No, that mummy thing.
Oh, there's some Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah. So I've seen that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that story in full. I forgot why I was making this point, but I'm still going. Like
you're a fan of Doctor Who going before.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So you understand the concept of a different lead actor.
Yeah.
But the point I was making is that I wonder how now that you're feeling so comfortable with Hartnell, and how the show feels, we're about to head into its first big change. And I wonder, because I know you like Troughton. From what you've watched of Troughton, you really like him.
That was the reason why I suggested this.
Because when we watched Tomb, like a year back. Because
he's fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed that story so much. When they held hands.
Him and Jamie, he's like, okay, Victoria, hold on, they hold hands. And he's like, oh.
That was really funny.
I wonder how you're going to feel, though, as we transition into Series 4. Because, of course, Series 4 starts with The Smugglers, which doesn't exist, so we can't watch it. Great news. What's your name? What's your favourite food? Where do you live?
What do you like to eat?
I live in my house. Oh God.
Anyway, carry on. I want to go to bed.
Computer. And then it's the 10th planet, which is technically the first story we can watch, and it's Hartnell's last. And then we go straight into Troughton. So as a bit of a transitionary thing, because it's going to feel really weird to do that and then begin our Series 4 thing. To make sure you guys have another video while we're away, because we're going away for... What was it, like a wedding?
What was it for?
Summer, I can't remember. Something important about nuptials. But what we're going to do next, the next video you're going to see from us, we're going to watch The 10th Planet, but we're going to save talking about that for the Series 4 video.
Okay.
Because we'll review it as part of Series 4. However, we're going to watch 10th Planet for context, and then we're going to sit down to watch Doctor Who and the Daleks, the Peter Cushing movie, Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, the sequel, and just because I think it'll be interesting purely from perspective, we're going to skip ahead to something from the 50th anniversary and watch that too. We're going to skip ahead to watch An Adventure in Space and Time, the dramatisation of the Hartnell years of the show, starring David Bradley. Because even though that really sort of should be watched around the 50th anniversary, I think it'd just be an interesting experiment to watch as we finish Hartnell's run on the show. And I wonder if it'll affect our feelings of the next era at all. So the next time you see us, boys and James, ladies and filth, we're going to be talking about the Cushing movies and An Adventure in Space and Time. So till then, quick, there's a memorable quote from the series. Anything, go. Anything.
I've got a gun.
I've got a headache, Doctor. I've got a headache. I'm gonna leave now at the last chance saloon. Last chance saloon.
Oh, Doctor. No, it's quite a good figure, that, isn't it? Wow.
I've had that for about 7 years. I've only just noticed.
Wow, it's like he's really in the room.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop recording now.
Okay, bye.